Iran, first of all, they pay very close attention, like you said, to what happens in the U.S., how the relationship is between the U.S. and Israel, and how the U.S. reacts. And that's why, for example, 2 months ago, when the U.S. targeted over 85 targets in Iraq and Syria following that attack against our outpost in Jordan that killed 3 American service members, Iranian officials told those Iran-backed groups not to pursue any more attacks and to avoid American fatalities, and that they would expect the activity coming from Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen to continue. And that's what you saw. But there is a difference between shifts in policy or evolutions in policy and a change in the alliance between the U.S. and Israel. And I don't expect that to change. Making a country an ally, which Israel has been a non-NATO ally of the United States since 1987, is a significant deal. And the reason is that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, right now, there are liabilities to that relationship. The foreign terror threat here has grown. You've certainly got a liability that President Biden is facing as he approaches the election. But that said, and I can tell you this because I worked very closely with the Israeli government, particularly when Hamas was in my portfolio at the Treasury Department in counterterrorist financing. And the intelligence they provide to us is not only helpful to achieve our counterterrorism or national security objectives, but also to achieve our homeland security objectives. A lot of that intelligence protects us back home as well. And so I don't expect that alliance to change. But making aid conditional, that is how aid should go, in my opinion, whether it's Israel or another friend or ally or partner. And so that's something Iran will watch, but I do believe that Iran knows that if they went after Israel, the U.S. would ultimately be there.
Well, there you go. With that said, opening one border crossing, a single border crossing, is a start. It's a noteworthy headline. What should we expect? What do you expect to see following that meeting yesterday, knowing that Benjamin Netanyahu is dealing with pushback in his own country from the right for kowtowing, as they say, to Joe Biden?
Right. Israel's, well, like any country, is unique, has many numerous perspectives. And you feel right now where I expect things to head is increased pressure on getting to an immediate ceasefire, even if that ceasefire is temporary. And you do see that. And those talks continue. You have a lot of drama, obviously, and individuals storming out. The Israelis say that they're still angry at the United States for abstaining on the UN Security Council resolution that was, I believe, only 10 days ago, would have asked for a ceasefire during the month of Ramadan, which ends next week, by the way. So they're angry about that, but they're still involved in those talks because at the same time they want the hostages released, or at least some immediate hostages released. So I expect pressure to increase there. But I don't expect us to face a permanent ceasefire anytime soon.
Well, as we talk about the ceasefire negotiations, obviously it's not just Israel and Hamas. The U.S. is involved, Egypt's involved, Qatar is involved. And Israel's economy minister joined Bloomberg yesterday talking about how essentially they don't trust the Qataris either, in addition to Hamas. How should we be thinking about the people on the other side of this negotiating table? Because this isn't ultimately just Israel's decision to make. You have a group designated as a terrorist organization by the U.S. on the other side of these negotiations.
Right, 100%. And that's why you've got all these 3 players that you named mediating, the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt. And the Israelis, listen, the Israeli government has played both sides of the Qatari card. Because on one hand, they're saying they don't trust them because Qatar has outright supported Hamas. But the fact is that the Israeli government under Netanyahu has allowed Qatar's financing to Hamas to millions of dollars per month. And the reason for that, and Netanyahu has been quite public about that, is in part because he claimed that at the time that he thought that by allowing the funds to go this way, he could have more insight and transparency into where those funds would go and that they would go more toward humanitarian purposes. But he and his cabinet have also said that it was at that time to their advantage to have a divided Palestinian people, to have Gaza and Hamas be strong and the other side be strong, because if they were divided, then there could be no state. So this awful strategy contributed to Hamas's strength. So the Qatar thing, that's how negotiations go. And it's normal with a terrorist organization that you're going to have these players and that it's going to be extremely tenuous.